Welcome back. This is Geometry, Unit 1, Section 1-8. This is video 2 of 3. We're going to walk through how to use the distance formula. So I've written out the distance formula here, which if I'm describing it in words, it's really the square root of the differences of the squared values and their sum. Now what does that really mean? It means we have the difference of the x values, that's subtraction. We have the difference of the y values, that's also subtraction. We are squaring both of those concepts, and then we are adding those together and taking its square root. Now this seems like a lot of math magic here, nothing's really blending together. This actually is a hybrid of Pythagorean theorems, just a different way to handle Pythagorean theorem where instead of writing an equation, you're finding a distance using one formula, which we'll cover that when we get to Unit 8. Okay, so let's find the distances between 2 points. So in part A it says what's the distance between E and O. So I want to start by building my equation first. I have the square root of, I'm going to subtract the y values. So I look at the y values, the y value of E is 3, the y value of O is negative 5.5. So I have 3 minus negative 5.5, and I'm going to square that. I'm going to add that to the difference of the x values being squared. So our x values at E would be negative 4 and 0. So negative 4 minus 0. I think we can all handle that one mentally. I'm going to start to simplify a little bit of this. So we have 3 minus a negative 5. Minus a negative is like adding a positive, so that's really 8.5. So we have the square root of 8.5 being squared, and I'm going to add that to, it looks like negative 4 minus 0 is just a negative 4, so negative 4 squared, and now I want to square these values and calculate the square root. So we have 8.5 being squared, we got 8.5 times another 8.5. Looks like 5 times 5 is 25. Doing some old school multiplication here, we have 5 times 8 is 40, plus 2 is 42. Then we have 8 times 5 is 40. Place a 0 there first. We got 40. Write a 4 up here. We have 8 times 8 is 64. Plus 4 is 68. Add all these together, we got 5, 2, 12, carry the 1 and 7, 2 decimals, 2 places behind the decimal, so this is 72.25, all because I couldn't find my calculator quickly. So we have the square root of 72.25, and I'm going to add that to negative 4 squared. Now remember, it doesn't matter if it's a positive or a negative number. If you square a value, it's going to be positive, so this is 16. I want to add these two together, so 72.25 plus 16. 72 plus the 6 would be 78, plus the 10 would be 88, so this would be 88.25. And now I got to grab my calculator. The square root of, all calculators are different. I'm hoping you probably have a calculator on your device or some app that you can download. That would be outstanding. But we want the square root of 88.25, which is rounded to the nearest tenth, 9.4. So what we just found on our graph from E to O, not the greatest straight line I've ever drawn. That exact distance is 9.4. I shouldn't say exact, that estimated distance is 9.4. And we can do this a couple times over. So we can calculate the distance between any 2 points. I'm going to jump to O and E. Oops, looks like O and E. From E to O and O to E, guess what the distance is from O to E? 9.4. Doesn't matter the direction, distance is always the same. Let's look at GE though, between points G and points E. So we have the difference of the y values first. So the y value in G is 5, the y value in E is 3, so 5 minus 3 would give me 2. being squared. Skipping a little writing this time. You don't have to do this. You're more than welcome to write out all your work. I also want to subtract the x values. So I have 2 and a negative 4. So 2 minus a negative 4 is like adding 4. That would be 6. I'm going to square those. So 2 squared is 4. 6 squared being 36. So I really want the square root of 4 plus 36, which is really the square root of 40. So let's try to estimate this one. So if I had to estimate the square root of 40, I don't know exactly what that is, but I do have a couple different ways I could write this. First, I could write this in what's called simplest radical form. This is going to be a new concept for most of you. I don't know what the square root of 40 is, but I do know the square root of 4. And I also know that 4 times 10 gives me 40. So I'm going to break this down into two radicals. The square root of 4 times the square root of 10, because 4 times 10 gives me 40. Now we know what the square root of 4 is. The square root of 4 is 2. So instead of writing the square root of 4, I can replace it with 2. And I still don't know what the square root of 10 is, so I'm going to leave that as a radical of 10. This is what's called simplest radical form. And the radical just meaning the square root sign. Now you also could find the decimal equivalent of this if you wanted to. So I can type in the square root of 40, and the approximate distance is 6.3, being rounded to the nearest tenth. So the distance from E to G would be 6.3 approximately.